Welcome to the Duke Trap Studios, home of the Keystone Experience, brought to you by Creek Archery. Find your passion, then hunt it down. Hillview Motors, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Remember, Hillview has it. What's going on, everybody? Hey, we got a special guest with us, Dan Traynor from the Accessible Hunter. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. Appreciate you having me on, and looking forward to talking with you.
Yeah, I've been trying to get more of the social media podcast guys on here that I'm friends with, and try to help promote each other. I did a thing this weekend down at the Washington County Fair with the Hungry Hunters. Oh, geez, now I'm drawing a blank on his name. But the young man, he looked me down at, hunted me up at Chico's, and I wasn't at my booth. I was out doing something. I could forget what it was. But then he got a hold of me, his dad did, asked us to come down there. So me and John from Jacobs Creek Outdoors went and hung out with him last Sunday. It was fun.
With county fair season going on, there's always something to do, and people can get out and enjoy it and kind of support the locals and the 4-H's and everything else. It's always a good cause and good to get out and do that.
Yep. So let's go back to the very beginning. What got you into the outdoors, man?
Sure. Well, like most guys in Pennsylvania, we always start hunting at 12. So about 11 and a half, I took my hunter safety course and started hunting small game with my dad that year whenever I turned 12. And my dad was a later in life hunter. He didn't grow up hunting, and he didn't have kind of the background that some of us have been exposed to. So we started off just rabbit hunting and squirrel hunting, and I never did really get a pheasant. There wasn't too many pheasants growing up at that time, and we didn't stock them very much back then, I don't think. But started off just small game hunting and deer hunting around Fayette County and Greene County, and got my start that way.
Yeah, Greene County, that was the Pennsylvania deer magnet for a long time. I mean, you guys had some big bucks down there.
Yeah, in the 80s, late 80s was whenever I was, really bow hunting Greene County a good bit, and just enjoyed being out. And I didn't get into bow hunting until I was about 16, and that really ignited the passion for me. Whenever I kind of met an older guy at work, and he knew a lot about bow hunting and scent control, and I really started getting into hunting, big time then. At least for me, I always went with my dad whenever I was younger, but we just kind of took our guns for a walk most of the time and had a good time. It was a good family experience, but heck, we didn't really know what we were doing until we got, bow hunting and learning a lot and getting serious about it.
You said you grew up in Greene County down there. And
well, I grew up in Fayette County.
Oh, okay.
I'm originally from Connellsville.
Okay.
And grew up there, and mostly hunted the mountains of Fayette County whenever I was younger, rifle hunting. And then whenever I went to college, I started hunting in Greene County, met some guys from Greene County, and they kind of showed me around down there bow hunting. And that's whenever I really got hooked.
You got to hunt up around Casparis and all that up there.
Exactly. State game lands 51. I grew up, right in that area. And I spent a lot of time in Casparis hunting and running around.
I was just up there this year doing a little bit of snake hunting.
Oh yeah. There's tons of copperheads and rattlers, and it used to be a big snake area for sure on River Hill there.
Yeah. And when I went up there this year, it was kind of crowded with the guys in the Jeeps and the 4x4s and the 4-wheelers and.
Yeah, I haven't been back there in a long time, but even growing up in the 80s, it was, always 4-wheelers and Jeeps and off-road. Had it pretty tore up most of the time, but I heard that the game commission did some improvements up there the last couple years.
Yeah,
I haven't been back to see it, but I'd sure like to.
yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it's not as bad as it used to be. Like the garbage isn't all over the place, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They're cleaning it up. You know, it's getting better. We didn't find too many snakes. It's because I had a new guy with me. You know, it's always the new guy bad luck. You never get to find the snakes. You know.
Yeah.
But took him out the second time. We went up on to up in Westmoreland County, up in one of the parks up here, and took him up and found him some snakes up there, and now he's hooked. You know,
Oh, man.
he's like, I want to go up the big mountains and hunt them this summer coming up. I was like, well, I don't know. You better not wish for that because that's a lot of walking up there, man, to find some snakes.
I've always had a healthy respect, a healthy fear of snakes. I never really liked messing with them too much. So if you're out there hunting them and handling them, I got a lot of respect for you because you got to know what you're doing on that for sure.
Yeah, and you know what? The older I get, the more I keep saying, you know what? It's time to stop because not as fast as you used to be when you were in your 20s, you know. But you know, and the rattlesnakes, they don't want to bite you. You know what I mean? They know that they can't eat you. They just want to be left alone, and they're usually pretty docile. It's the copperheads, man. For some reason, those guys got like little man syndrome or something. They are nasty, you know. But yeah, it's fun. You know, it's something to do in the summertime.
I definitely agree with you that rattlesnakes don't want to bite you because I had one experience. I was hiking one time and I was bending down picking up a stick and had one buzz really really close to me, and if he wanted to bite me, he absolutely could have, but he warned me off.
Yep.
And that's one of the things I've learned about snakes. That they're not the aggressive things that the people make them out to be sometimes.
Yeah, I was talking to one of the rangers in the state park up there where we were at, and he said to me, he says, I get hikers that will call the ranger house and tell me I got to come up here and move this snake off the trail. He's like, I can't come and move every snake that you're going to see while you're walking through the mountains in Pennsylvania. He says, just walk around the snake. It's not going to bother you, you know? And I guess in a way, if it's somebody that's never done it and they've never been around the snakes, yeah, they're going to be, a little nervous at first. I mean, I was the first time I ever went out. I was like, why am I putting myself through this? Because I hated snakes when I was younger. And once I started doing it, you learn a whole new respect for them things, and they're actually pretty animals once you start looking at them, So, what is your podcast all about?
Well, I have an Accessible Hunter podcast. To kind of go back a little bit, in 1999, I had a diving accident and I broke my neck, so I'm paralyzed from the chest down. I broke C4 and 5, and like I said, I really enjoyed bow hunting, and being paralyzed, it kind of made me kind of wonder, how am I going to do this again? And I did my therapy, my rehab in Shepherd Center in Atlanta, Georgia. And they took me from my hospital bed down to the gym and let me shoot an air rifle using adaptive equipment. And that kind of let me know that I could still do it just a different way. So my podcast, I guess long answer short, is Accessible Hunter. I got a co-host, Mike Hudson. He's also a quadriplegic. Mike's in South Carolina. But we started the Accessible Hunter podcast a few years ago. I started the Accessible Hunter blog in 2010, and then that rolled into a Facebook page, just because at the time there wasn't very much information about people with disabilities out hunting. So whenever I got strong enough that I wanted to go hunting again, I thought, well, I'll blog about it. So I started an Accessible Hunter blog and kind of rolled from there.
Cool. So you're able to bow hunt now?
I'm able to bow hunt, but I use a crossbow, and I use a mount, and I use a sip and puff trigger from an outfit called Be Adaptive Equipment. And what it is it's an actuator that goes in the trigger housing, and then it has a straw on it, and you basically just suck on the straw, and it activates the trigger mechanism like a automated car door lock. and I'm able to pull the trigger that way because my hands don't work. I can move my arms, but I lose feeling at the biceps and use adaptive equipment to get out hunting. But I use a crossbow, and I love shooting. It's really accurate. If the deer stands still and walks into my 20-foot wide zone that I'm set up with in my chair, if everything aligns just right, I can make a good shot on it.
So this trigger, is it how? I mean, is it you have an electric mount to cock the bow too?
No, I use a regular 10-point crossbow.
Okay.
A lot of the crossbows now come with a crank.
Okay.
And my wife usually goes with me, and she'll set everything up, get my crossbow in the mount that sits on my wheelchair. I use a power wheelchair, and the trigger mechanism plugs in to a USB adapter on my chair.
Okay.
And it is powered. Now, some guys use a bite trigger that's a mechanical trigger, and with the sip and puff, it works out really, really good. It pulls back the same way every time. The accuracy on a rifle or crossbow, I'm not pulling off like if I was using a crank trigger or using a pencil in my cuff. A lot of times I would, canter the bow or canter the rifle, and it would make me kind of, miss. But with the sip and puff, it pulls that back straight back the same way every time, and makes me pretty accurate, actually.
I don't know what happened, but my screens just went completely bonkers. Like now I'm only getting half of your face. What happened?
Okay, let's see here.
Here. See if there's better.
Is it better?
Yeah. I don't know. What is? I don't know. It switched. Now it's back. Okay. I don't know. Unless I bump something. Probably bump something.
Could be me. Who knows?
So, you have that adapted for your rifles too, then, and
Yeah,
your shotguns and.
Yeah. What happened was after my injury, I tried different mounts and things, and different companies sell different mounts. But being a quad, I've got like different movement than other people, and not as much movement. So I actually designed a mount and had it made for me. My buddy welded it up and everything, and I used my shotgun, my rifle, my crossbow, all three in the same mount, and I used the same trigger adaptation for all three of them. So the mount just sits on my wheelchair right between my knees, and I kind of shoulder the rifle or the crossbow, and I look through a regular scope, and the straw is just basically right back at the buttstock, and I can just sip on it, and it'll fire as many times as I sip, like taking a drink. It'll keep firing. So if I'm shooting a 22, if I'm using a semi-auto, I could go 10 or 12 rounds or 30, whatever I want it to, just as fast as I could use the trigger. It'll pull it.
Huh. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's an awesome piece of equipment, and with the mount, it's really stable. So I'm able to get on target and not wiggle around too much or anything. It's actually really cool. I know a lot of guys are using tripods now for holding their crossbow in a ground blind, even without a disability. So it's kind of like that. I have a mount set up that holds everything tight, and it's basically just a tripod, but it connects to my wheelchair instead of the ground.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny because I shot that big buck in flintlock season last year, and I was using a bog pod with my muzzle and my flintlock, and all my buddies are laughing. They're like, well, we know how you shoot that flintlock to begin with. Like I shoot long distances with that flintlock. Now, I'm not afraid to shoot 200 yards.
Wow.
And when that buck come out and I hit him with the rangefinder and he was 97 yards, I was like, man, this is going to be like a breeze. But of course, he had to have 11 does with him, and he wouldn't walk away from the does. They surrounded him, and it took forever, but finally got the shot in there and got him. But so the whole bog pod tripod thing, I completely understand it, because there was no way that night, as cold as it was, I'd have been able to hold still enough to get a clean shot. on that buck,
And really that's what we all want, is that good, clean, ethical shot.
Yep.
And if you can use something that makes you a better marksman or a better shot, however you want to say it, I'm all for it. If that helps me and gets me out in the woods and lets me make a great shot. I mean, a couple of shoots we're shooting at ping pong balls floating at 20 yards, and I'm able to center punch them with the 10 point. So it definitely is good equipment, and I rely on it.
Yep. I did the program here for the Pennsylvania Game Commission. I become a certified hunter where I'm allowed to go into the agricultural areas and shoot deer from August 1st till April 15th. I just did a reservation before I got you on here for tomorrow morning. I'm going to a farm not far from the house. I rode past there last night. The one field had like 65 deer in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm doing the same thing tomorrow. I'm taking the 22 250 and the bog pod and going to sit on the hillside and see if I can't get some of these deer for this farmer, Well,
if you're seeing 65 deer in that field, you can understand why the farmer signed up for that program.
Yes.
And why they need it. This is the first year for that program, right?
Yes.
I've kind of heard a little bit about it, but I didn't sign up for it myself yet. But maybe next year that'll be something that I would look into, because it sounds like a good program.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you access to a bunch of farms. And right now it's in our area, like the Southwest PA. So we're the pilot program for this, basically, is what the guy who runs it told us, And the access, it's all pretty simple. You got to go on to a specific site that they give you with a code, and it gives you all the farms and the access, and then you got to reserve that farm. They want it so that there's not 20 guys showing up at that farm at one time.
How great is that, though, that, people that don't have access to farmland now can, take the test or get, certified. And now you got access to farms, and you make a reservation that you're the only one hunting that day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like your own private hunting lease.
Yep.
And you're not required to pay anything, I don't think, right?
No. Nope. Didn't cost me nothing to take the test. You got to take a shooting test. Well, you got to take the written test first, and then you take the shooting test. You qualify with a high-powered rifle at 100 yards shooting a 6-inch circle. You got to hit 4 out of 5. And then if you're going to hunt with a bow, crossbow, it's 4 out of 5 at 20 yards in the heart and lungs. And if you're going to do a shotgun, for Allegheny County, it's 50 yards. Same deal, 4 out of 5.
Nice.
So, and I had to travel a little ways to go take my shooting test. I had to drive to Johnstown, but it took me 45 minutes, which wasn't bad. And, once you get access to everything, it's, I said to my wife, I said, this is, that place I'm going tomorrow is 10 minutes from my deer lease.
Wow.
So who would have thought 10 minutes down the road from my deer lease, they're having problems like this, we got problems on our deer lease with way too many does, but this is just like way out of hand,
And it really does a service for the farmer. It puts meat in your freezer, or if you donate to hunters sharing the harvest,
Yep.
or what have you. It sounds like a great program and a win for everyone, really.
Yeah, and I want to see it go over and get it across the state. You know what I mean? I want to see it. So I hope the guys that are participating in it take it serious, and because they give you like their specific notes from the farmer when you start doing your reservation. Some of them will tell you no coyote hunting, no predator hunting. There's one on there, it says no bear hunting. Then there's another farm that tells you full access. So that means you can hunt everything. There's farms that say no turkey hunting, Then there's farms that tell you no Sunday hunting.
Yeah.
Even though they passed it, you still got to abide by what the farmer wants. And that's, some of them, the farmer wants you to text them when you pull into his driveway, So, as long as the guys follow the rules, take some deer, make everybody happy. Because I mean, I'm going to take my deer tomorrow to the, if I shoot any, I'm going to take them to that hunter sharing the harvest, probably one of the butcher shops around here. Because I'm not firing up my coolers to start doing deer this time of year.
Right.
I just
right,
want to
exactly.
go shoot some and get in good with these farmers and help them out. And
God, it's a great program. I mean, if you're able to harvest a deer and take it to a participating shop, they're gonna pay for the processing and donate it to the people that need it, the food banks, the people that really kind of need it in these times. So
yep,
that's great and helps the farmer out.
yep. So, do you have a camp or do you hunt locally around home or?
I have a place down in Greene County now,
Okay.
and I get down there and hunt, and we have an apple orchard and about 12 acres that we hunt, and I'm always seeing deer, and I haven't seen a lot of turkey, but haven't seen a big buck yet down there, but lots of does and a couple smaller bucks, and it's just nice having a place to go, and with my wheelchair to be able to get access really really easy, works out really well, and it's near state game lands that I used to bow hunt in college, so I
Okay.
knew the area pretty well, and it really works out. I enjoy it.
Now, have you done any trapping or anything like that, or?
I've never done any trapping. I would like to learn more about it, especially with like trapping coyotes and things like that. I've never been a trapper, but I always thought it was kind of cool, and I just didn't have the, I guess, time and dedication to do it. That's a pretty big commitment for the season. Checking your traps every day, I imagine you do, and
Yeah.
big commitment. But I know that there's not a lot of trappers out, that you guys are trying to recruit more people through the mentor programs, and it would be awesome to kind of see, to learn more about it.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to hook up since I know you're this close. We'll get together and I'll show you some stuff, and
Heck yeah.
because I know Greene County is, that's Dave from Apparition Scent. He's down there, and
Yeah.
he is always, me and him are good buddies, been buddies for 20 years. He's always sending me pictures. Hey, look at what I caught this morning, and he's always giving me a hard time because I like to hunt bobcats. I want to shoot one first before I trap one.
That would be the goal. I seen one last year, and man, they're just so pretty.
Yeah.
I'd love to have one and get a full mount, and that's probably on the bucket list. So I hope you get a big one. I hope you get one, and that would be awesome. I can't wait to see pictures.
He gives me a hard time every year. Like, hey, look, I caught one. I had to turn this one loose. I had to turn this. Hey, Dave, I hunt them at night. I called 3 in last year. Every one of them I called in come into 60 yards, sat down, staring straight at me. Well, I use a 22-250 when I'm coyote hunting. I'm not going to shoot a bobcat in the chest with a 22-250 that's 60 yards away, because I'm just going to blow it to pieces, and then
Right.
I've wasted it,
Right.
So it'll happen. I'll get one that'll sit down out there at 150, 200 yards, and then, I'll finally get my mount out of it.
Well, you're getting a lot of interaction with them anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
I've only seen one out, so you've already tripled that. So I'd say your odds are pretty good at getting that mount way before me, man.
And then I got a buddy of mine who invited me up to his camp this year. He said, take the week of Christmas or after Christmas and come up. He said, we'll muzzleloader hunt, and you can run cat traps while you're up here. He said, they're all over the place up on the mountain. And I was like, I really want to shoot one first before I trap one. But
Yeah.
if they got that many up there in Elk County, I might as well just go throw a couple pieces of iron in the ground and see what happens,
Heck yeah, and you're going to be muzzleloader hunting anyway, so
Yep.
you get a 2 for trip out of it.
Yeah. Yep. Have you been up there yet to check out the elk?
I have. I went up 2 years ago, and we went up in October, and seen the elk museum and the elk center, and that was just probably one of the best experiences I've ever had. Going to a museum for sure. we did see elk every day. We went up for the weekend. Just an amazing facility, amazing grounds, totally wheelchair accessible.
Yeah.
I could, park in the parking lot and drive my everyday power chair all the way back along those paths that they have. So it was awesome. We rented a cabin really close to the elk center. Loved it. Can't say enough about that area. Would love to go back and probably need to. I understand it gets pretty busy in the summertime with people viewing the elk, and they just put the elk cam live today. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
Yeah.
But I was looking at that this afternoon, and hopefully tonight there'll be some elk in the field on the elk cam. But man, what an experience! That's awesome.
I went up. This was the first year I ever went. I went up for the drawing. So I spent the weekend up there at my buddy's camp, and he kept telling me, "Oh, we're going to go out. We're going to see a bull, and then we'll get you up there to the camp." Because I've seen cows. I've been up there on the Harley, took trips and seen cows. Never seen, a spike bull. Never seen a good rack bull.
Yeah.
So I left Sunday morning. Monday morning, he sent me pictures of 6 bulls standing in the yard of his camp.
Isn't that always the way?
And then this morning at 10 o'clock, he sends me another text message. Here's 6 more bulls all laying in the yard at the camp. And he's like, "What are you doing tomorrow? You coming up to camp?" I said, "I am not driving 2.5 hours just to come up there to, and it's my wife's birthday. I would get killed if I came all the way up there."
I'm not a smart man, but you're right. That sounds like a no-brainer that you stay home with the wife for the birthday for sure.
So, but I got to go to the drawing, and I'll tell you what, it was like a festival. It was pretty cool. The weather was crappy. It rained, so it kind of kept a lot of people away. So I guess I got a little better interaction with it than most people, because Brian Hale from Elk County Outfitters, I did a podcast with him. So I went up and hung out with him for a little bit at his booth,
Nice.
Did some talking, and, then I learned a whole new perspective with these elk guides too. I got to talk to Jeremy, the biologist. We did a podcast with him 2 years ago, and he broke the myth on the podcast about everybody saying about you have to have a guide to hunt elk in PA. I would highly recommend you get a guide, because there's a lot of work to get one of those big critters out when you kill them back in there.
You're not kidding.
But you don't need a guide. They're on public land. They're on public land. It's accessible to get to, but like I said, there's a lot of work to get one of them things out of there. And I think it would be well worth looking those guys up. If you do draw, like Elk County Outfitters, Hick Run Outfitters, there's a bunch of them up there. They're all good guys. We got a celebrity coming this year to bow hunt in the elk season. The hunt master, Greg Ritz.
Okay.
He drew a bull tag, so he'll be filming, and he's hunting with Elk County Outfitters. So,
I was going to say that's a once in a lifetime. Chances are once in a lifetime draw.
yeah,
I put in for it a bunch of years. This was the only year that I didn't put in for it. But absolutely, I mean, if you would draw a tag, why wouldn't you want to spend the extra money, get the guide service? That these guys watch these elk all year long.
Yep.
They're going to increase your chances. Now, that's not to say that you can't do it, or you and your buddies can't do it if you're prepared. But you're talking about a large animal, getting it out, and not only finding it but processing it, getting it out of the woods. And I wish everybody good luck that draws a tag. That's just such an amazing thing in PA. That's the lottery to win for sure.
I was hoping that I could get a little bit of extra time off in the archery season here, the elk archery season, so I could go up and film for Brian, but we're kind of busy at work, and I don't think I'll be able to take 14 days in a row off without them, So we'll see what happens. Maybe I can get a couple, a week or so off and get up there and film for them. But, I feel the same way, that if I do ever draw a PA tag, I'm getting one of those outfitters to go with. you know,
Absolutely.
and I'm going to hire one of my buddies to run a camera, you know, because I want it documented, you know, and I think it would be an experience that you'll never forget, you know.
We go on different hunts around the country sometimes, and to be able to hunt elk in Pennsylvania, 2 hours from your home, on a lottery system that, you know, 35,000 people put in for 100 tags,
Yeah.
and to be able to win something like that, talk about hunt of a lifetime. I mean, wow, you'd have to have it videoed. You'd want to relive that experience over and over. At least I would.
Yep.
I'd probably have to take out a second mortgage to do all of it, but it might be worth it.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, we can't be lucky like Dan Young and go up there and have an elk walk right up to us while we're sleeping, you know, and he gets to shoot it on TV and everything.
Oh, my luck doesn't work out like that usually.
I got to give Dan a hard time, you know.
Dan's a good guy for sure.
Philip told me a long time ago, Philip Vanderpool said to me, he said, don't call him Outdoors Dan. He said, you call him Indoors Dan because he's on the sofa more than he's outdoors. So,
if you have a hobby and you like to do it, and then you make it your business, you got to spend a lot of time at a computer.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that you're doing the podcast. It takes a lot of setup, a lot of prep, a lot of editing and so forth. And you better like to learn video editing and everything else if you like to do it for a living.
Yep. And I told you before when we were talking at the very beginning, the audio editing stuff. If I had to do the audio editing, there wouldn't be no podcast. You'd only get a video version. Because I'd delete everything. Somehow I'd figure out how to delete it all.
Well, if I didn't watch myself a lot of times doing our podcast, I'd delete stuff too. And we're just not real good computer guys. I'd rather talk with people and hear their stories and share their hunts. But it's nice that we can do all this stuff. And people that can't get out all the time or want to learn about Benazet and the elk. I mean, we've had a little bit of experience up there, and it's just such a fun thing to talk about and share.
Yeah. Yep. And that's what I always said when I started this. I am not a professional at any of this. I am not a professional hunter. I'm not a professional farmer. But I'm going to tell you what works for me and what didn't work for me so you don't make the same mistakes.
It's funny. That's kind of like what Mike and I feel like talking with people with disabilities that, for years we were all reinventing the same wheel, meaning everybody's dealing with trying to make a mount. How do we hold our crossbow, or how do we hold our rifle? And then how do we make it go bang? Mm-hmm. And if we can save somebody a little bit of time by saying, hey, this worked for us. Now we might have different abilities as quads or different lack of ability, somebody that's a paraplegic, but this works for us. We're not all reinventing the wheel anymore. There's a guy, Robin Clark, that does Wheel and Sportsman for Virginia. He's been a quad, I think, for 50 years. Now, this guy has a wealth of knowledge. I mean, he freely shares it with everybody. And that's kind of like what we're trying to do is let people know there's a different way to be able to get outdoors. You can still hunt, you can still fish, you can still do anything you want, just a different way. And we're not professionals by any means hunting or podcasting. We're just a couple old guys. We're in our 50s with Mike's been a quad 30 years. I've been a quad 26 years. We got a lot of experience with dealing with, disability and how we pull a trigger now with no hands,
Yeah. Yep. So what is your favorite thing to hunt?
My favorite thing to hunt is white-tailed deer. At one time it was turkeys, but I have a hard time hunting the mornings. Like for me to get out and go turkey hunting in the morning, my day has to start at 2:00 in the morning. That's my wife getting up, getting me dressed, getting down to the turkey spot. So I don't get to hunt turkeys as much as I used to. So I'm going to say white-tailed deer just because growing up here in PA, it was always a good experience. I don't have to go out west, and I don't have the income to go hunt antelope and elk out west all the time, that kind of thing. So definitely white-tailed deer. We're blessed living here in southwestern PA that we've always had a good deer population. And if you want to go deer hunting, there's, tons of opportunity.
Yeah, there's a lot, and that this summer, well, last fall, I kind of started a thing going back to the game lands that I hunted on growing up.
Yeah.
And trying to show guys, through videos and stuff that there's actually pretty nice land and guys don't access it. That's what, like I might have run into 3 guys, all of that early muzzleloader season on all that land out in New Alexandria. I was kind of bummed because I used to go out there and you couldn't go 20 feet without kicking up a doe. Yeah. I hunted all week in that early muzzleloader season, and everything I seen had a rack on its head.
That's a terrible problem to have. I feel so bad for you.
I didn't see a single doe, and that's all you could shoot then, And
yeah.
Man, this is unbelievable. And then I think I went out there twice in muzzleloader season and didn't see a single doe. I never made it during rifle season. I forget why. Probably because of work. But I went back out there in that late season, like towards the very end after I shot my buck here. I went and I took a walk. I seen a doe at probably 50 yards and was getting ready to drop the hammer on her, and here come a smaller one up out of the woods, which I knew was her young one, and started pushing on her side. So I was like, you know what? Do I really need to shoot one more deer just to say I shot a deer on public land? No, we'll let it go.
She gets a pass.
Yeah. It was just nice to finally see, and guys were like, oh my God, you went out there and seen that many bucks. I'm like, yeah, and it's public land.
Yep.
I just walked all over Conemaugh a couple of weeks ago looking for copperheads up there because Conemaugh is known for copperheads. And the deer that I was seeing walking around that dam in the middle of the day was unreal. And it's all public land, and people don't use it, Talking to the rangers, they said, oh man, during gun season, we hardly see anybody up here.
You wonder why that is, because we have such great public lands here in PA, and all it takes is a little bit of effort, a little bit of scouting. The deer aren't going to walk up to us most of the time. I mean, they may walk up to you in a parking lot occasionally.
Yeah.
But if you want to be consistent and you get out and do a little bit of scouting, a little bit of leg work, or a little bit of roll and wheel work, it's better opportunities for us as hunters in PA than a lot of people have.
Yeah. Yep. And I hear it all the time. Guys will say, "Oh man, our laws and our rules in this state are horrible." Well, I've been to quite a few states and hunted. I've been lucky enough, the job I have sends me around the country and I get to do stuff like that. But PA will always be the place that I started hunting, and hopefully it will be the place that I end my hunting career here, because there's nothing better than hunting in this state.
I agree with you 100%. Rules are out there to protect wildlife. Hunters don't always like them, but they're out there to protect wildlife. And I remember when antler restrictions were put into place, and everybody was losing their mind about it,
Yep.
But now look at the quality deer we have, that we're not shooting, 1.5-year-olds all the time, that we're getting, quality deer, some nice rack bucks in Pennsylvania that growing up, we didn't have access to bigger deer like this. I mean, not like we do now.
Right. We were that group of kids that when we went out, you shot a spike because you were going to see 20 of them.
Yeah.
We got to see numbers of deer. I mean, I can remember sitting up in the mountains up in Ligonier, and on the first day of deer counting 75 deer run through on the first day of buck season. And people don't realize we had to hunt 2 weeks of antlered deer, and we only got 3 days to shoot does. A lot of people don't realize that, So me and you had it rough. We didn't get this, 72-day deer season that we got nowadays.
it was a little bit different back then.
Yeah.
I don't feel that old, but man, when you start thinking about how long we've been hunting, and I just like being outdoors. I really enjoy seeing everything in nature. Whether I tag out or not, that doesn't make my hunt successful or not that night. I can be out and see some squirrels, see some birds, and if I ever see my bobcat again, I'll be thrilled again. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not always about tagging out. It's about being out there with friends and family, and we're just really lucky here in PA, and I realize that.
Yep. Yep. Like I always say, it's not filling a tag. It's the experience of the
Yes,
whole
sir.
thing. From I mean now this is the first time me and you actually got to talk face to face, and it creates friendships.
Absolutely. Hunters are the most welcoming group. I mean, I've met people through hunting, and I consider them lifelong friends. Sometimes, like Mike Hudson and I, we've been friends 20 years. I've never met the guy in person. Everything we do is online, but we talk almost every day. We text, we podcast together.
Mm-hmm.
Hunters are just amazing people that want to share the outdoors, want to tell you how to be successful, want to share their stories of success, and we're generally happy, guys that, hey, if you got a nice buck, God bless you. That's awesome, brother.
Yep.
I'm so happy for you. It's not competitive. It's not like professional sports, or it's nothing that I can even compare it to. The hunting community for camaraderie and friendship. And if you go to a camp, you might be with people that you've never met before in your life. By the end of the week, you know everything about them. You've, you know, talked to them about their family, about how happy they are, about their job, about where they grew up.
Yep.
Stories around a campfire are pretty cool.
Yep. Yep. So I guess we can talk a little bit of the rules and regulations. We do have a new thing going on here in PA. We are allowed to hunt on Sundays now.
Yep.
So how was what did you think about this happening?
Well, for me personally, I think it's a good idea. And I'll tell you why from my own personal reasons. That everybody's got their reason, whether you're for it or against it. But as a person with a disability, I'm a quadriplegic. I need somebody to be able to take me hunting, whether that be my wife or my brother or a friend. I need somebody to get me in my van, load up all my equipment, get me to the ground blind, set everything up, and then I'm good until I pull the trigger and somebody has to, clean the deer, drag the deer out, take it to the processor, what have you. That is so much easier, I think, getting somebody on a weekend that they're off work. So now that just doubled my season. I went from only having one Saturday to be able to hunt Sunday as well. So for me personally, I think it's easier getting somebody to help me on a weekend. I think the guys that hunt all the time anyway, it's not really going to make much of a difference. And I'm certainly not going to hunt every Sunday. I mean, I don't know if any hunter is going to hunt every weekend and have a family life, but it's nice to have that option.
Yeah. See, I guess I never thought of it from your perspective that you have to wait for somebody to be there to help you on a Sunday. I was always, thinking about the kids because my daughter played softball growing up, travel ball. So we didn't have a whole lot of time to spend Saturdays in the woods, and usually Sundays you played one game of softball and you were done. So, kind of wasted Sundays away. But, now, if she was younger, that would be a different story. Now we could be in the woods. But thinking of it from your point of view, yes, that's, I'm kind of really happy that give you guys an extra time in the woods.
Absolutely. And as you said, with the youth too, not everybody, I don't even know if school districts close down opening day of rifle season anymore. I mean, growing up, I used to take the first 3 or 4 days off school that week, because me and my dad and brothers were rifle hunting. But not everybody can take a Monday off or take a Tuesday to go hunting, and especially if you have kids. So I don't know. I think as long as you have access to the property and the farmer's good with it or the landowner is good with it, if you have a buddy that has 10 acres or 100 acres and they invite you to come out and go hunting, what does it really matter if it's Saturday or Sunday? That's
Exactly.
their property. So
I was listening to a thing the other day with Ted Nugent about all this stuff that's going on in Michigan with all these laws and stuff that these people are pushing. And I didn't realize that back a long time ago in Michigan that it was illegal to use a tree stand.
wow.
And Ted said, he says, I want to meet the guy who can get up and tell me that it is illegal to go in the woods and climb a tree and sit there on a Sunday and harvest a deer. And in Ted's words, that's not, everybody knows how Ted Nugent is. That's not how he talks, but
Sure.
there was choice words in there about the guy who made the law and stuff like that. But still, it's a point. Who gave them the right to tell us that we couldn't hunt on Sundays for all those years?
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, I mean, we have a certain number of deer allotted, through tags, through license sales. And to me, as long as, everything's legal, ethical, good shot. I mean, if you got access to a property and the landowner is fine with it, as you said, some of the farm places, they don't want you to make a reservation.
Yeah.
That's weird saying now, right?
Yeah.
Make a reservation to go hunting.
Yeah.
But if they don't want you to go hunting on Sunday, I mean, the landowners can still restrict that. I mean,
Exactly.
private property is private property, whether it's legal to hunt Sundays or not.
Right. And I don't think a lot of people know this. If you are hunting private property on Sundays, you do have to have a permission slip.
Okay.
If you look through the laws somewhere in the book, it's in there that tells you if you're hunting private property, you must have a permission slip from that landowner.
Written permission is always the best policy.
Yes.
If you're hunting on somebody's land, it pays you to have that piece of paper in your pocket.
Yep.
Every time.
I mean, I printed this out. This is for tomorrow morning when I go do the ag deal. So,
Yep.
That's my reservation thing there. Got the rules and everything on it the deaf farmer wants. It says to print it or have it on your phone. I got it on my phone, but I know I'll never find it if I need to. So it's just easier to print it out and put it in my pocket,
I'll tell you, I'm really impressed with how the Game Commission is putting everything online with license sales online. Again, I need help doing a lot of things. So whenever I can get on the computer and buy my license, buy my tags, I don't have to write out a check and put it in a pink envelope and,
Yeah.
address all that stuff. I can do it all on the computer. Man, it's just gotten so much better. And now with all the rules and everything, it's really at your fingertips. It's hard to read on a phone, but you did the right thing. You printed everything off. You're prepared. Just the amount of preparation you're putting into this hunt tells that farmer how serious you are.
Yeah. Yep. And I was going to say, like, being that this is a pilot program, there's no actual ear tags.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that either.
We are to take a picture. That picture, I guess I didn't realize this, but your camera geotags.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, every picture you take does.
And then it got a timestamp to it. So you're to take a picture, and then I have a digital tag. All I have to do is within 24 hours is report that deer. I don't have the 10-day grace period like we do with a normal harvest. I got to do it within 24 hours.
Man, that is some high tech, come a long way in a short time period technology, huh?
So we might, like from what they said, this is like the test program for the digital e-tag, which, a lot of states are doing it now. And, this is just one more step in this program, hopefully it gets pushed across the state for everybody to do it with all animals. You know, how much easier can it be? You walk over, take a picture of your animal. You already got your tags on your phone, because when you order them, they send you a digital copy. Everything's already there, you know.
And chances are, who doesn't have a cell phone these days, and
Yeah.
who's not going to take a picture of the deer that they get anyway?
Right.
I mean, they really kind of sounds like they thought this out pretty good and make it as easy as possible that you're not, notching tags, or some guys are, trying to erase their tag and reuse it and all this other craziness.
Yep.
I think it's a pretty good program. I mean, I'm just hearing about it the first time this year, but sounds pretty awesome.
And it was funny because they told us, oh, don't, like me personally, they said to me, well, you do the podcast. Don't push this out on the podcast. Don't push this out on the podcast. So I haven't. Like we're talking about, I ain't telling you, I've told you some stuff off the air, but they, as soon as I walked into the Washington County Fairgrounds and went over to the Hungry Hunters booth, this guy from the Farm Bureau comes up to me and hands me this application for the Certified Hunter Program.
Nice.
And I'm like, wait a second. I was like, where did you get these and how did you get them? Because I found out about this through the Pennsylvania Federation of Sportsmen and Conservations.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm good friends with Ed, and Ed told me about the program. I says, and here you are passing out papers at the fair. And they told us to kind of keep this on the download because they didn't want to have 20,000 people waiting in line to become one of these right now. So it's nice to see, like this farmer was so excited. I mean, the guy gave me his cell phone number, and I looked up on the map the other day when I got access to the map, and sure enough, his farm's on there. So I'm actually going to call him maybe next weekend and go down there and hunt his farm next weekend. I don't know. We'll see, but it's pretty cool that, the farmers are excited, and then I watched the whole meeting the other day that the Game Commission had on it, on YouTube. And it was pretty interesting, like seeing everybody in the room just pushing this and promoting it. And the guy who started it, they gave this to him in April and told him to see what he could do. And here it is, August. He's got it up and going, and put a cap on it with 200 people for right now to,
though that's a good sample size. I mean, you have 200 hunters that are actually being the representatives for all the hunters in the state. So out of that 200, you might get a guy that leaves a gate open, or a guy that, doesn't pick up his trash, or that's going to happen. I mean, it's sad to say, but these 200 hunters have an opportunity to represent all of us throughout the state and really show people what we're made of, and that we can come into a property and be respectful and harvest game and donate that game. And all the right things that we always talk about, that we talk about every week, doing the right thing, being responsible, being a conservationist, being a true hunter.
Yep.
And you have that opportunity to interact with all these farmers. Yep. I think it's great. I really do.
And the other thing that they're pushing is they want you quartering your deer.
Okay.
They want you quartering it and carrying it out in bags.
So you're not gutting
They want you deboning it, basically, is what they want you to do. Yeah.
And do you leave the carcass there?
They don't want it left in the fields. They want you to pick it up and carry it, take it into the woods. But they don't want you, you can bring the whole deer out if you want, but they would rather you not, it's especially with the hot weather in August, the meat cools down a lot faster. It's a lot easier to put chunks of meat in a cooler with ice than it is to stuff a whole deer in there, So
I never even thought about that quartering the animal in the field.
Yeah.
I can understand. I mean, it's 90 degrees. It's going to be 90 degrees tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you have to process that animal really quick. So I can understand quartering. I never really thought about it like that. I know that a lot of times when I'd go on hunts, we didn't gut the animal on the property. We took it to a shed and
Yep.
disposed of it and that kind of thing on the outfitter's land. But I didn't even think about that.
Yep. And that's like during regular hunting season here. If I'm close to the butcher shop that I cut deer up at, I won't gut the animal in the woods. I just bring it out and then take it to the butcher shop. Yeah, it's a source of food for the predators, the possums, the coons, and stuff like that. But it's just so much nicer to just bring it out, take it to the shop, do it there at the shop. And you're not dragging your deer through mud and leaves and water and everything else. I don't know.
That's the only advantage I do have as a wheelchair user. I've got a track style wheelchair, and I don't mind dragging my deer out anymore. I just attach my drag rope to my wheelchair and drag it down. If it goes to a spot that I can't get the wheelchair, then somebody's got to pull it up a little bit. But man, I don't mind dragging deer as much as I used to.
I might have to call you during bear season, give you a holler, and tell you.
I've never gotten a bear. I would love to pull out a bear for you. If you're lucky enough to get one, brother, you send me some pictures. That would be awesome.
I had to go to Canada to kill one, so.
I went to Canada whenever I was younger. Funny story. You know how the brush is really high up there. Well, I was still able-bodied, and I was in a tree stand, and I'm waiting on the black bear. This was in Ontario. I hear something coming through the woods, and I'm all excited and ready to pull the trigger on it. And here comes this moose nose poking underneath my tree stand. About gave me a heart attack. I was thinking it was a bear coming in. I almost pulled the trigger on a moose.
That's another animal that I seen when I was in Canada too. I went to Thunder Bay, Ontario, to get my bear, and sitting in a tree stand, same thing. I mean, I hear all this noise coming up over the hillside, and I'm like, oh man, it's got to be a 700-pound black bear coming. And you're in Ontario. The average bear is 250 pounds, so I'm sitting there waiting, and all of a sudden I just seen this head twisting coming through the brush, and I'm like, wait a second. That is the funniest looking black bear I've ever seen in my life. He walked by the tree stand, and as he was walking by, I could have stepped off the tree stand onto his back.
Yeah.
It was amazing how big they were.
If people never experienced it, you wouldn't know, and you'd think we were lying. But I kind of had the same experience that this nose came right underneath my tree stand, and I've never gotten a bear before, so I was pretty pumped up and ready to rock and roll. And turned out to be a moose, and they are huge.
Yeah,
big animals.
It's crazy how big they are. And wolves? Did you get to see wolves while you were there?
I didn't. I didn't see any wolves. Did you have that opportunity?
Yeah, I actually got to shoot one while I was there.
Wow.
But the night before I shot my bear, I didn't come out of the stand until 10:30. And I was hunting on a wheat farm. I'm coming up out of there, and I heard what I thought was a howl. And I stopped, which was, I don't know why I stopped. I mean, we're talking wolves, and it's not one or two wolves. It's wolves, 6 or 7 of them. I stopped, and I'm listening, and it howled again, but this time it was a whole lot closer than it was the first time it howled.
Wow.
So I got an old man climber on my back, and I'm walking through this brush, and I'm banging that climber on everything I can. I'm talking to myself. I'm singing songs. I get all the way up to the road, and I'm standing there, and I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. It was 11:30 when the guide finally showed up and picked me up.
Yeah.
Because I was the farthest guy away from camp. And he gets there, and I said to him, I said, hey, George, I said, I just heard a bunch of wolves. He said, yeah? He said, down in this part, he said, that's the reason I put you here, is because I figured you'd be the only one that could stomach coming up out of there. I said, well, I'm telling you right now, I guarantee you when you go down there in the morning, it looks like a bulldozer come up through there, because I banged this old man tree stand off of every tree coming up through there.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, well, he's like, did the wolves bother you? I said, no, they did not bother me, but it was an experience. And then 2 nights later, the next night I shot my bear, and we still had 3 days left to go. So me and him went out and nailed some beaver carcasses to the trees, because that's how you hunt wolves up there. And we sat there, and I got to shoot a wolf. So it was fun.
That's an incredible experience. And yeah, I kind of had a deal like that out in Illinois. My wife and I were bow hunting, and you always hunt until almost dark or till you can't see your scope anymore. And we were taking down the ground blind. It was a pop-up ground blind, and one coyote, howled. And I looked at my wife and said, "Man, that's pretty cool." And then a couple more started howling, and it's dark, and we got my crossbow. She doesn't hunt. She was taking pictures. I had already shot my crossbow off into the ground, and all these coyotes are howling, and we still got maybe 500 or 600 yards to get back to the van, and it's all really cool hearing them howl until it's pitch black around you and they're getting closer.
Yeah, we've done that. I do a lot of night hunting for coyotes and foxes and stuff here. And I've hunted up in Somerset and Ligonier, Lynn Run, and I've called bears in the dark. And you want to talk about an experience.
Wow.
Black bears are blind to begin with in the daytime. In the dark, my God. And some of them have gotten pretty close to the point where, I was thinking, man, a few more steps and either he's going to grab a hold of me or I'm going to have to do something to make him go away. But they finally catch your wind and, tear out of there. But it's interesting, it's fun. What do you think about the going back to the Monday opener that everybody keeps talking about?
Oh, man.
I told you I like to be controversial on here, so we might as well do it.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, this is my opinion. This is Greg Traynor's opinion, not anyone else's. I was never a big fan of hunting on Mondays, to start. I think, again, I need somebody to help me now. So the Saturday opener, for me, works out really well. But how many guys, want to be able to take vacation to go hunting anymore? Not a lot. You have a lot of other commitments. You have kids in sports. You have, work commitments. You have all these things. If you have an opportunity to start on Saturday, I think that's really the way to go.
Yep.
Me personally. Now, if you don't want to hunt on Saturday, wait till Monday and hunt Monday opener. But give the guys that don't have vacation, the guys that work Monday through Friday, the guys that work 12-hour shifts, man, open it up on Saturday. This is one of the only states in the country that was still doing that. If you have guys traveling in to hunt, you have the Saturday opener. They can hunt Sunday. They can go back home.
Yep.
I just think it's a no-brainer to have the opening day on Saturday.
Yep.
I don't know why guys are so vehement that they have to have the Monday opener. To me, it doesn't make sense, but that's just my opinion.
I had posted something about it. One of the representatives around here saying that they were gonna, put a thing in to have it voted back to go into Mondays. And I said something on Facebook about it. And I had guys telling me it was because the little towns were losing money, and all that was taken care of. All that was checked, the numbers and all that stuff. And they don't lose any money. They make actually more money with the guys going up there a couple of days ahead of time. The whole thing in Pennsylvania is tradition. And I always say this, our traditions are going away because we're getting older.
Yes.
I mean, when I was growing up, Sunday you spent at your grandparents' house for dinner. Well, my grandparents have long passed away. We don't have family dinners anymore. How many families sit at a table on a Sunday afternoon? Those traditions are going away, so you need to start new traditions. Let the young kids have Saturday opener. The schools don't close on Monday for them. The guys who work 7 days or 5 days a week, 12 hours a shift, they get Saturday and Sunday to hunt.
Right.
Yeah, everybody wants to go to camp and spend, the time at camp, you don't have to go out Saturday morning. I tell everybody that all the time. You know, it's your choice. You don't have, nobody's twisting your arm to go hunt Saturday morning.
Right.
You want to go hunt Monday morning? Go ahead. You know, nobody's telling you. It's not a law that you have to go hunt on Saturday.
Right.
So
I completely agree with you. You know, change is hard. Anytime that you change something, whether it's a good change or a bad change, you're going to get pushback.
Yep.
Because this is the way that it's always been. We've always done it this way, and it doesn't make it right. And sometimes, you know, change is good. I think Saturday hunting is a good thing. I hope we never go back to a Monday opener, but if something like that would happen, I mean, hunters like you and I are going to adjust.
yeah,
You know, if we got to take a day off work to go on a Monday, we will. But
yeah.
I think we're going to keep a lot more hunters. And if you actually talk with people, I think most people enjoy the Saturday opener
Yeah.
a lot more than Monday.
Yep. Well, buddy, we've done about an hour, a little over an hour. So if you want to let everybody know where they can find your stuff at.
Absolutely. Accessible Hunter. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and our podcast is Accessible Hunter Podcast, and we're on the Outdoor Call Radio app every Monday. We're also on YouTube, Accessible Hunter Podcast. So I appreciate you having me on, and man, it was good talking with you. You know, this is a long time coming.
Stick around. I'm going to run through some sponsors real quick, and then we'll call this an episode.
Sounds great.
All right, buddy. Check out these fine sponsors. Apparition Scent, Chico Outdoors Incorporated, Back 40 Seed Company, Gearhead Archery, Forget Genetics, Trapline Beard Oil, Weeby Knives, Wreck Broadheads, Coon Creek Trappers, Redline Bow Hunting, Rack and Stick, Scout Tech, XL Construction and Renovations LLC, Warhead Arrow Company, Black River Shot Company, Coyote Cords, Rocco Family Farms, Steve Rocco Media, Bustin' Fur Audio. Watch us on Carbon TV. Listen to us every Wednesday on the Outdoor Call Radio. Follow along on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the YouTube channel.